What's good, y'all? Making the walk. We are back. It's been a very tumultuous past couple weeks, I would say. we got toothaches and all kinds of sicknesses and out of town and all kind of stuff. So, first of all, Frankie, how are you doing?
Man, I'm much better. It's good to be home. It was a weird one because obviously there's excitement being away, but at the same time, it's like, you know, when you reach that sweet spot between where you've enjoyed being away, but you're kind of happy to come home. I reached that spot perfectly well, so it was good, and I've recovered pretty well. So yeah, pretty happy.
That's good. It's always good to get a little vacay, a little break from the same old a little bit. But speaking of a break from things, we're getting a break from the UFC being in North America. We're going to go over, and it was announced that UFC 304 is going to be over in your part of the world. So we got a couple of questions that are related specifically to that card. But before we jump into it, hey, exciting news. I'm thrilled to announce our partnership with Betstamp and Signup Expert. And it's opening an incredible opportunity for you to join some of our favorite sportsbooks to get the best odds on the internet. With the summer slate of UFC and Bellator and PFL events coming up, there's no better time to jump in than right now to get some of the best deals they got going. So head over to our dedicated page at signupexpert.com/makingthewalk to explore the selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with unique offerings and deals. And I stress deals. So if you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level and show some love for Making the Walk, I highly recommend jumping on this opportunity right now. The link's down in the description. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Like, when you heard about the card, like in general, like, how did you feel about that? I mean, we already knew that they were coming, but how did you feel about what they put together?
I was thrilled. I mean, the fights themselves are fantastic. Like, I can't complain about the lineup, because for me, I spoke to you already about my intentions to go to this card no matter what I have to do to get there. And obviously having Tom on the card, having Manel on the card in particular, for me is like, it's just kind of added to the, I have to be there no matter what. But there are a few things that have come out of it that we're going to discuss that I'm less happy about. But as far as the lineup goes, I'm always obviously going to be happy that it's back in the UK. And the lineup, I can't really have asked for a better lineup. Yeah. Really, it's a great card.
It is. So kind of digging into one of those things that we wanted to talk about. What I noticed, and I think everybody noticed, and I'll say this first, there's a lot of people from that side of the world that support this channel, of whom I'm very appreciative and that I have a lot of conversations with. And so I have a lot of empathy for, especially when it comes to prices. So what I have noticed, and it kind of started there, but it's filtered everywhere, is that the price of a ticket for the UFC is definitely increasing. And it almost feels like it's on a event to event basis. So and I'll start with you. You can kind of give your thoughts on it first, but are rising prices for UFC events a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, I had some trouble with this one because I wasn't exactly sure how to contextualize it. The thing is, like, I think in terms of for the UFC themselves, I can only really see it being of benefit to them because of how their system is. They are a business first organization, as most organizations are. And the fact is that the UFC has reached such a level of popularity now where it kind of feels like whatever they charge, they're going to sell out events. Like, it doesn't matter how much money they associate. I mean, even the nosebleeds now are ridiculously expensive. And this is just the nature of what capitalism is. You know, the higher that demand goes and the less that supply is, you know, this was the position that we were always going to face. And the rising prices are obviously an indication of how insanely popular the UFC has become. And I mean, it's been obvious for a long time that the UFC no longer cares about the common fan who just wants to go, but, you know, which is a shame. But I don't see any incentive for them to lower the prices because, as I said, they're a business and they're going to try to make as much money as they can from their product. And I don't think anyone can really begrudge them of that. I think in terms of for them, obviously the more popular they get, the higher they can sell ticket prices and continue to do so and sell out arenas. It's great for them. Obviously for the consumer, it's not great because, you know, obviously obviously the higher the prices go, the less percentage of fans are going to be able to experience an event in that way. But I also think that, like, in reality, probably 99% of UFC fans, probably even higher than that, will probably have never gone to a live event anyway, or attempted to go to a live event anyway. So it's not really affecting their bottom line. And you also get a great bulk of those people who are probably going to be illegal streaming anyway, so they're not even going to get pay-per-view dollars from them or
it's true.
television dollars from them. And it just comes down to that. What is the UFC's focus? Their focus is obviously to get the most business out of something. And as long as people are continuing to pay it, as I've said, there's no incentive for them to go in another direction. So for them, it's great. Makes the product feel more exclusive, which I suppose makes it more alluring as well. I can't see a short-term negative for prices rising for the UFC, certainly with the model that they've got. So for them, great. For the fans, not so much. But it is what it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I kind of align with what you're saying. I mean, obviously, for the company, if you're bringing in more money, you're breaking records left and right, which that record thing it's a very interesting situation because you're selling the same amount of seats. You're just charging more. So, of course, you're going to break the record. That's simple math.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for the UFC, it's fantastic. But I think that eventually, if they continue to go on this particular pace, it could be a bad thing. And the reason I say that it could be a bad thing is, one, at some point, maybe a fighter that has some sort of pull might push back against the system and recognize that the revenue sharing is not correct here. It's not fair for them. Now, of course, they'll have to jump through a million legal hoops to do anything about it, but it could cause, you know, some disruption there. And as far as like bringing in new fans to experience the UFC, it does put a buffer up in front of them. And that's something I kind of want to know in the comments. How many of you guys have actually been to an event? I know that there's a lot of people that watch and listen to our stuff that may or may not have been to an event, but are very knowledgeable about the sport. I'm very curious how many have been to an event. But I think the rise in prices, in theory, could be a bad look for the fighters at some point too, if they ever get wise to it, and realize how much the money they're not getting. Right now, I mean, especially based on what happened with the lawsuit, like they don't care that much. But, you know, you never know. Things could change. But for the common consumer, as long as the UFC sticks to what they're saying about going out on these fight nights and basically increasing the amount of events that the common fan can go to, I think it'll be okay. Because, matter of fact, I looked at the fight night that's coming up in Louisville, Kentucky. If you get a seat in the nosebleeds, it's only $75. It's not bad.
Not bad.
Whereas if you get a seat in the nosebleed for UFC 303, it's over $1,000. So, I mean, you know, you get what you came for. You know, obviously the level of the card, but you will still be able to go to a fight for pretty cheap Now it's going to be a lesser product, but you will be able to go. So they'll have that. But I mean, I think it's eventually the good times will stop rolling for them if they continue at this pace, I think.
Yeah. If I'm paying several $1,000, I ain't paying for no nosebleeds. I'm telling you that now. I better be on Bruce Buffer's lap for that kind of money. I'd be sitting on his knee for that kind of cash. You know what I mean? I think there's one aspect to this that I think is worth mentioning as well. One part that really bums me out about getting tickets these days, it's not just the increasing value, but it seems to be becoming more and more difficult to legitimately buy a ticket as well, even at the high prices that they're selling, because reselling is kind of becoming a business within itself. And I think the one thing that the UFC could do to maybe counteract what you're talking about is to at least protect those fans at the least that are looking to legitimately buy a ticket from them, and to do everything they could to prevent scalping from happening. Because what you often get is, like, I know for a fact, because I know people that do it, you get people that kind of bought ticketing events and they jump in and buy up reams and reams of tickets at whatever the UFC is selling it. And then that's an active business for them where they'll go online and then resell them. And I think if the UFC made more of an attempt to prevent that from happening by... One thing I was thinking about was, like, maybe... Basically, if you buy a ticket, you can't resell it. Do you know what I mean? It has to be bought with your name and your credentials and blah, and you can't then hand it off to somebody else. Because
that would be cool if they were able to do it.
They do it in loads of other sports. Like, for example, in the Premier League, they do the same thing. Like, if you buy a ticket from them, first of all, they have memberships, so you can only buy 2 tickets per person or whatever it is. And then basically, you can't jump on and buy several tickets under several memberships because you can't turn up with somebody else's name that's associated to your ID and whatnot. So it makes... I mean, I'm sure there's little ways that you can go around it, but I think scalping is a major part of the problem as well, because the reason why the UFC feels so confident in raising their prices in the first place is because they know that when their tickets are getting bought up, people are then reselling them and getting 10 times the amount. So they're thinking to themselves, well, I might as well get some of that money because people are paying it. You know, so it's adding to that. It's adding to that aspect of it. Whereas there should be somewhat of a buffer between, because I know people that are paying $3,000 plus for, you know, decent seats, but not like, you know, and they're doing it because they can't even go on a site legitimately and buy on the day, because you jump on and they're sold out within an hour and a half. So it's just an issue.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a really good idea. I wonder if they even considered doing something like that, because...
No, they haven't, because they just want the money. They don't give a fuck. Unfortunately.
That's true. They don't.
As long as they get their money. Much. As long as they get their... They don't care who's turning up. As long as it's sold out and they break another record that night. That's all they really care about. It's a shame because, like I said, it's that's where you're going to start to see the trend change. I mean, when things skyrocket too much, you're just going to have... There will come a point where people aren't going to be willing to pay. But I think we're a long way off that. As I said, we've already seen that people are willing to pay.
It's going to take a while before economics catch up in that area, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah.
So, which brings me to my next thing. Speaking about 304, I know that the time is going to be more tailored to what the North American fan is used to. And they've been doing that for a while. I know they do that for Abu Dhabi and all that. But as a person who is going to suffer, I mean, you're used to it at this point, and we've kind of talked about this before, but as a person who's going to go through that, do you think that is fair, not only for the fans, but for the fighters, because they're the ones that are performing in this case? Like, do you think that that's a fair thing, or should it be on the time of the time zone that the event is actually happening?
Yeah, no, I think it's an absolute disgrace what they're doing. Like my belief is like, all right, the way that I kind of look at it, right, is what percentage of the cards take place in America already? Would you say? I'd say it's probably over. If I had to take a wild guess, I'd probably say 90%, and that's probably, it might something even be like more than that.
Yeah, it might be.
So basically, in those situations, 90% of the time, I have to watch an event, and most of the rest of the world have to watch an event at an obscene time. It could be in the middle of the night. Obviously, with Dougie is somebody that we talk to quite regularly. He's got quite a sweet deal where he wakes up at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh
yeah, Australia, right?
Yeah, so he just kind of watches. His prelims usually start 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and he's, you know, I wouldn't say no, so I wouldn't mind that. It's not a bad, you know. So essentially, 90% of the time, we are forced to live by American times, which we understand because the cards are coming from America. It should be a set thing where 7 p.m. should be the start time wherever you are, and it should be in that time zone, because I was unaware. When you brought this question up, I was unaware at the time that they were doing the same thing to the UK. I just assumed it would be a 7 p.m. start time here.
Yeah.
And now I've found out, obviously, that's not going to be the case.
Nope.
Bro, honestly, I'm disgusted by that. It's a disrespect to the fact. The thing is, here's the way that I look at it, yeah? If you're going to do that, then don't have numbered pay-per-view cards outside of America.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Like, why? Like, I would have been perfectly happy for this to have the same exact fights that they've got in it now, and you just make it a fight night. And it just starts at a regular time.
Yeah, it just
because most of the fighters that we're getting on here are British stars, or they're. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously you've got people like Blaydes, who's not really. I wouldn't call him a star in America. I think it's. I mean, I get why they're doing it, because it's a pay-per-view that they're having in England, and obviously the bulk of pay-per-view buys, as I understand it, I think it's something like 95% I read comes from America and Brazil. 95% of pay-per-view sales. So from an economic standpoint, I get why they're doing it. But if you have to, you can't come into someone's country and be like, all right, yeah, you're starting at 11 p.m. You're starting at 11 p.m. And I didn't tell you about this. You remember when I told you I was going to go to one championship in Thailand?
Yeah.
And I didn't get to go? Do you remember what I told you what the reasoning was for that? Oh,
yeah, because at the time, I think it was at 7.
They're catering for a market outside of Thailand. The event started at 7 a.m.
That's so wild.
So the thing is, yeah,
especially for one.
I feel stupid for missing it. But at the same time, I'm like, why would I have even thought that an event starts at 7 and it's at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
That wouldn't have even have occurred. I don't feel stupid for messing that up, because I'm like, I'm not wrong for assuming the event would start at 7 p.m. Like, you see 7 on the card, you see 7, you see the Thai thing next to it. I do kind of blame my friend a little bit for this, because he can read Thai. And I sent him the tickets and he didn't notice. And you know what made it worse as well, yeah? Stamp was sat in the area where I was due to be sitting.
Wow.
Yeah, man. She was supporting one of her, well, several of her teammates that night. I could have taken my shot, and my wife would have understood. That's the part I'm gutted about.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. But I mean, I understand why. I do understand why, but it's just for the people who are competing, for the people who are actually going to be in attendance, spending more money than the people, you know, at least per person, spending more money than the people watching. It just seems like it would be more fair. Maybe you find a happy medium or something. I don't know, but like you try to figure something out to where
it's the happy medium.
Yeah,
it's there
to where they're not fighting in the middle of the night.
Like, let me tell you something, yeah. As an American audience, would you be bothered, yeah, if sometimes your card starts at 4 p.m.?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So when your card starts at 4 p.m., it would start at 9 for us. which it does sometimes when it's in the Apex. Perfect.
And that would be fine. We would not have any issues with that because we have basketball, we have baseball, we have football, American football, and basketball starts at any number of times. We got football starts at noon and at 3:30. Baseball can start at whatever time. Like, we have a variety of sports that start at a variety of times. We have no issues.
Do you think it's because of the nature of the sport that it is? Like, people tend to kind of absorb combat sports in the evening. It just seems to be a thing. Like,
I think people are still on the boxing model. There's so many things that are still in this sport fashioned around boxing that they don't want to step out of their comfort zone when it comes to that. I've heard E. Spencer Kite one of the time, because he's on Pacific time, so he's in California, or on kind of California time, I guess. And he loves it when the cards start a little bit early. Loves it because you can watch it and then you can go about your day on a Saturday here, the same way that the people in Australia get to do. So, like, no, it would be perfectly fine with us. Like, we would not have any issues with it.
Whereas I've had every Sunday ruined for the last 10 years of my entire life, because I'm not waking up until like 12 o'clock I'm not waking up until midday, and that's on a good day. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm up until 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then if I wake up at midday, I'm tired.
Yeah, there's been many a stream where we are watching, and I say something about, look, the sun's coming out over there.
Yeah. and then you say it like kind of laughing at me, and I'm like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you can see the dead look in my eyes where I'm like, bro, I am glad I don't do card reactions anymore. I'm glad.
I don't know how you did them, to be honest.
Those were not the days. I'll tell you that now. Never going back. But it's just incredible to me that, like, so basically they're saying to me when 304 comes, remortgage your house to get a ticket, just to time what we were talking about. And then it's in your country and you're going to be there until 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning waiting for this shit to close out. I don't think I've ever felt so disrespected. I'll be honest.
That's the way it feels, man. That is just the way it feels.
And bro, how's it going to affect the people who are on the card as well, who are fighting?
Yes.
To God knows. I mean, I'm sure they'll adjust. They know in advance, but it's still like, I wouldn't be betting on people coming in 2 weeks before that. You know, it might actually benefit actually maybe it won't. Be great for the Americans on the card who come in. It's going to feel like 7 o'clock in the afternoon to them.
Yeah, as long as they keep their circadian rhythm the same, they'll be fine. Don't pay attention to the sun, and you'll be okay. Man, you know, I used to, and we've talked about it briefly before, but like I used to have to go over to the Philippines, and they are, I believe, like 12 hours ahead. And so when I would go there, like they worked on the same schedule as us in the US, and I would go there and I'd be perfectly fine as long as I didn't see the sun. The sun would totally throw me off because I'm like, well, why is the sun here and I'm sleepy? Like go to sleep for the night sleepy, you know, like that would throw me off, especially if I'm a fighter who is super in tune with my body. My body has to be on a schedule. Everything that I do is on a schedule. Like that would totally mess me up. I don't know how they do it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just irresponsible in general. I think, like, and again, you're disrespecting the fighters, you're disrespecting the fans from those countries, and basically saying it's a reminder that America is first for us. And the thing is, like, we already feel that way because you come here once a year if we're lucky. But then you come here and you're like, yeah, you're still going to be up until 6 o'clock in the morning, you prick. It's not, it's a slap in the face. To be honest, it is a slap in the face. I didn't even consider that might be an option because they don't really do that when it comes here. But then, mind you, we don't really get like a lot of numbered cards here. It's usually UFC London Fight Night, and there's no need to do it.
Headlined by Paddy Pimblitt or something. But so speaking of the card itself specifically, there's some great fights on the card. Paddy Pimblitt against Bobby Green. Who else? Arnold Allen against Giga Chikadze. Leon against Belal. Finally. Belal is we're finally getting this over with.
Did you see how he found out? Did you see that video?
Oh, was it in the gym?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. Like, I didn't hear I just saw it.
Yeah.
Like, what did he say? Or did he just...
He was like, what, for real? I'm fighting? And like, I was like, really? Yeah, they basically told the world before they told him. This is what they think of this guy. It's pretty outrageous that it would go that way. You know, like...
It really is.
Your friend gets a tweet and it's like, this tweet's about me? I'm fighting for a world title? Oh, sick.
It's just more of the disrespect that man gets. Yeah. Just more. But
not the only one, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, which to me, I won't say it's surprising, but one of the fights that I'm super duper interested in is Tom Aspinall defending the interim belt against Curtis Blaydes. I think that's going to be a very interesting fight. I fully expect Tom to win, but I think that Curtis definitely has a path to victory. But in your opinion, is this an important fight for the division? Like a majorly important fight for the division?
For me, this isn't just an important fight for the division. It is the fight for the heavyweight division. And I'm really, really glad that it's been booked. Like, and as you know, we've been seeing on Twitter ourselves over the last 24 hours since the fight was announced. In my mind, John Jones is no longer the champion. Like, once you've been, if you're the champion and then somebody comes along and takes an interim belt and they defend that interim belt before you've come back, that's when you should get stripped.
Yep.
Because it should work both ways. Like, because apparently and I think it was Son who brought this up when he was talking to Demetrius on his podcast a couple of days ago. He was like, basically, as soon as the champion enters the ring, the bell rings, the interim belt gets instantly stripped. It should work the other way around. Like, the heavyweight title should get stripped if the interim belt has to get defended. Yeah, and it's pathetic that it hasn't. You know, it just further it further nullifies John as champion. And obviously we've heard more kind of since then. You know, a lot of people were very upset about the fact that it wasn't Cyril Gane. But again, I follow all these guys, and there was a video that Aspinall released last week the day after the fight was announced as well. And you know what I love about Tom Aspinall is he just keeps it real. Like, he says exactly what the situation is. And he said, look, they came to me, they offered me the Gane fight. I said, fine, whoever you guys want me to fight is cool. And Gane, again, turned it down. He said he's doing a movie or something and the scheduling stuff doesn't work out. So he's like, cool, I'll fight Blaydes. So people can't complain. Blaydes deserves it. Almeida was on a tear through the division and Blaydes knocked his ass out. Like, he finished him. That's it. Gane isn't available. Jones is fucking about. Bro, this is the fight. Like, nobody can say it's not the fight. Jones has been coming out recently and saying what he wants to fight. Talking about wanting to fight Alex Pereira. It's just all getting a bit fucking silly now, to be honest, mate. It's getting silly.
Yeah.
So you're saying he's calling out Alex now, which means he's healthy. Where's the announcement for the Stipe fight? Where's the Stipe fight?
Yeah.
Because Stipe's been waiting, right? Or is Stipe injured now? Like, what's going on? This is all stupid, man.
I don't know. I've seen recent tweets from John kind of announcing that they're going to fight in November in Madison Square Garden.
Who cares?
And I mean, it's getting to the point where it's like, I mean, it almost kind of feels like the Belal and Leon fight, except the fact that Belal actually does deserve the title shot.
Yes.
I know that he annoys people in his way, but you can't deny what he's done. For John, he got injured. Okay, that's fine. And we have a whole video about that. I'll link that up here. But how can you possibly say that this man is the heavyweight champion when he got the belt and just went away. Like, and then he's going to fight somebody who, Stipe is ranked number 6 now.
Stipe hasn't fought in 3.5 years.
Like, come on, y'all. Like, so I feel like it's just a legacy fight, and they should make some sort of certificate that they get for winning. I don't know. This shouldn't be a belt. I can tell you that.
You know why they're doing it though. You know why they're keeping it that way. They just like, they don't want to delegitimize Tom, and they know if they strip Jones, that's what's going to happen. And I think it's like I said, man, let the man strip himself.
And maybe they're holding out hope that, you know, John wins and says, okay, Tom, let's fight. Maybe they're holding out hope for that. But
you might get shamed.
Curtis Blaydes can throw a monkey wrench in this whole thing, just like 100%. Stipe can.
Blaydes could win. Blaydes could beat Aspinall. I think Blaydes is a lot better than people give him credit for, and he certainly has a threat that is real. And
if you look at who he's lost to, he's lost to power punchers that caught him slipping. Now, I think that had Derek Lewis not landed that uppercut, I think Derek Lewis would have lost that fight. And you know Derek Lewis is my boy. He would have lost that fight, man. He was hunting that uppercut, and Curtis just walked right into it. But Curtis beats all the rest of, you know, everybody else for the most part. You know, outside of, you know, a Francis or a Derek Lewis. Did he fight Sergey Pavlovich?
No, he fought Volkov though.
Volkov, okay. So like, for the most part, he beats everybody else. So this is well deserved.
No, he did fight Pavlovich. He fought Pavlovich. He got chinned. He got
exactly.
Chinned.
Power puncher. Like, he loses against the same type of fighter. Now, he's running up against somebody who can do everything. And that's the problem. But I do think that if he gets his hands on Tom and is able to take him down, you know, kind of wear Tom out a little bit, he has more of a chance. And he has that avenue, whereas other fighters like a Sergey, or even though Sergey is a good wrestler, he just doesn't choose to do that. I think that Curtis has a path to victory. But I agree with you. This is an extremely important fight for the division, because if Tom loses, that kind of puts the division more in disarray, in my opinion, because now it delegitimizes everything. Because
they need Tom to win. There's no doubt.
They do need Tom. They need Tom to win this fight. They really do.
Which is what makes it scary. Because usually when that happens, it's like, that's when the monkey wrench gets thrown in. Yeah,
that's true. That's very, very true.
I genuinely think this is going to be Tom's hardest fight.
Yeah, like, he's been breezing through people a lot. Yeah. Like,
I don't expect him to smash. If Tom smashes him out in the first round or first couple of rounds, he's real. Yeah. There's no more denying the man, because I do think Blaydes is really good. Like I said, much better than people give him credit for. He's dangerous.
Absolutely.
I love this fight. I'm so glad I'm like I said, it's giving me an extra incentive to be like, right, let's put you, like, I have to pull out all the stops to get there. You know.
You know, he had to show up. You know, he seems
hyped about it as well. I'm not surprised. So as soon as he heard 304, he was like, let's better get over there. Guest appearance.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man, I want to know what everybody thinks about this London card, about Tom Aspinall, about
it's in Manchester.
It's in Manchester.
Yeah. So it's near where Tom's from, like Salford, which isn't exactly Manchester, but it's right. They're basically right on each other's doorsteps.
Yeah.
So this is the Tom showcase, as much as it can get. Like, it's interesting as well. Like I said, that he's headlining and it's not Leon Edwards.
So is that right? Is that for sure?
As far as I know, I could be wrong about that. It could be and I suppose it doesn't really matter. You'd assume they'd have the real title. See, now I'm calling it the real title. Do you see what I mean? Or the at the headline of the card. But I don't think Leon's got the kind of ego where he'd be like, no, it has to be me. So
he wouldn't trip. But like, I think that because his is an undisputed title, they would have Leon headline and then have Tom co-main. But either way it goes, like, I mean, obviously to me it doesn't matter, and either way it goes, Leon gets pay-per-view points, so that also doesn't matter. So it's a win-win. But I do want to know from you guys what y'all think about, you know, this Aspinall Blaydes fight, who y'all have winning. And then also another thing that I want to know is what kind of parlay are y'all putting together for this card? Because I need a 3 or 4 leg parlay to put together for this card. I'm very curious. So I know I would normally ask Frankie, because Frankie is very, very good at these things, but he's superstitious where he can't tell what the parlay is beforehand. So I don't know if he's going to give me anything on that one.
I'll make an exception. The thing is, I did. I've broken it the last couple of times. So when we had our last few cards and we did them live, I've been on a really good like betting streak recently, where I've had like 5 cards in a row where I've made $300 or more. So I'm like, I feel comfortable again. You know, it peaks and it troughs. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I am quite superstitious, though. You're right.
Yeah. So drop your parlays in. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, like, share, subscribe, all those things. And until next time.